What up, guys? Just wanted to give you an update. I said last night I was going to do the RBG video and the new California video, and I ended up researching RBG a bunch, and by the time I was done, I just wanted to go to bed. Thank you to a couple friends who did shoot me some messages or comments about her, and definitely more balanced than I thought when I do make the video. Honestly, I don't even know if this might suffice. Let me just say, I'll probably make a video just because I do want to get into the abortion topic more so than anything, because I think it's just a huge psyop that they're pulling on people. I actually believed at one point the whole, like, it's just a clump of cells thing, and, like, it's a woman's body, it's her choice. Like, mind you, the fact that, I guess I should just get into it. So, my issue is basically this, like, you can't call something your body, your choice when it has a distinct heartbeat, it has a distinct body, and it also has distinct DNA. That is 3 points that no one can ever counter. You'll talk to no biologist on earth who will agree with you that that is her body, her choice. That argument is amazing when it comes to, like, forced vaccinations, when it comes to not injecting your children with unproven, untested vaccines. That is an amazing argument for that. It's also an amazing argument for countering female genital mutilation or male genital mutilation. Those are decisions that adults should make because that is their body, therefore it is their choice. When it comes to abortion, like I said before, I do not disagree with I disagree with the action. I'm not going to judge any person for doing that, especially when you grew up in a culture as degenerate as ours that teaches abortion as a form of birth control. Like, I'm sorry that happened to you. I'm sorry that happened to me. I actually, legally I'm not allowed to have any part in that process. But when I was 16, full disclosure, I drove around all night trying to get the morning after pill because I was worried about literally dry humping. And anyways, that's neither here nor there. But I just did want to say that at one point I believed the whole psyop, that it's just a clump of cells. It's not really life. Couldn't be further from the truth. And so when you talk about that right as being a woman's choice, and that Ruth Bader Ginsburg didn't, she wasn't pro-abortion, she was pro-women's right to choose. Well, here goes, guys. A woman's right to choose is identical to a man's right to choose. You either do or you do not have unprotected sex. That's the choice. Beyond that, you don't get more choices once you've made that choice. You have to deal with the responsibilities of that choice, and the fact that we've gone so far in the other direction and allowed women to exclusively have the choice to take back their decision and undo that decision. That's not equality. That's female supremacy, and it should not be tolerated by any conscious, living, breathing person. But like I said, don't judge anybody for making those decisions because they were given faulty information in the first place. So you can't judge somebody, because they were ignorant of the facts. Like I said, I was, like most people were growing up in our culture. So I'm just going to move on past that and say that Ruth Bader Ginsburg did do a lot of awesome stuff, it turns out. Like, who knew that at one point women had to get a male cosigner for checking accounts? I sure as hell didn't. And she took part in changing that, and God bless her for that. And there's a few other things, also like owning property, I believe. There was also a need for a cosigner at one point, and she had part in that. And like I said, guys, there's always a pendulum, right? So if the pendulum needs to swing back towards the center, which it did in their case, then that's fine. But it's up to all of us that once it passes that center point to be like, whoa, that's not equality. That's not even close to equality. And so that's just like something that's on all of us. And to be fair, like, Roe v. Wade was passed way before, I think like 10 years before RBG even got into this Supreme Court. So, there's obviously lots of male feminists that are problematic, female feminists that are problematic in that respect, and we all just need to counter that bullshit, counter their pseudoscience. Like, it would be one thing if they had an honest discussion about it, but to say my body, my choice when it's clearly not the case, like I said, no scientist on earth will agree with that. It's wrong, and it needs to be countered. So that was the reason I wanted to make this. I'm probably just going to leave it at that. May she rest in peace wherever she's at. My main critique with her, like I said, is just being pro-abortion. And yes, I will say that about her, because she went to Harvard, she went to Columbia, she spent her whole life doing this as far as like being in the judgment system. And I don't find it as, forgivable of an action when somebody like her does something like that and continues throughout her entire career to support that action, versus like a young girl who's in a stressful situation, who doesn't really know how she's going to pay for, the baby. Oh, and that's another thing. I took a college class called Gender and Globalization, and turned out it was more of a feminist studies class, like about global issues. And at first I was like, oh God, here we go again, more Marxism. But it turned out I learned a lot. There was a lot, just like in the discussion portion. It was an online class where I think because it's online, it fosters a lot of debate from people who maybe normally wouldn't raise their hand in class. And so I definitely shared my 2 cents about my sex ed experience, which I learned sex ed in 5th grade. I learned sex ed in middle school, and I learned sex ed in high school at a Catholic high school. And believe it or not, there was very little differences between them. They were all like, well, actually 5th grade, like all I remember is they split up the boys and the girls, and I really can't remember much other than the fact that they did show us some like gnarly photos of genitalia, which like with all these diseases and stuff, which I thought was like a little too soon perhaps. Although then the next year, I guess I take that back because I understood. Like, anyways, that in 6th grade there were kids at my school, including my girlfriend. Amanda, if you ever watch my videos, I'd be curious to know. But I did. My first girl who I ever dated broke up with me because she was ready to start, getting busy, and I was like just nervous about how to kiss and whatnot, and I was nowhere near at her like level of puberty. Shout out to my mom, by the way, for knowing that she was about to do that. Like my first date ever, I got dropped to the movies with her, and my mom saw her and was like, oh my God. She wouldn't even let me out of the car. She's like, she already has a boobs and a butt. She's like, and then she gave me the sex talk, like real quick, like 2-minute sex talk, while Amanda was like awkwardly waiting on the corner there, or in front of the movie theater. And anyways, my mom turned out to be, more on point than I had realized at the time. I thought she was crazy. But anyways, I digress. So then in middle school, we definitely had a lot more pictures of genitalia passed out with like all these like diseases, and it was really gross. And I remember I entered like the sexual world like very afraid of diseases, and whether I was wearing a condom or not, I was just like very afraid of that. And I definitely got tested like every single time I did anything. The people at Planned Parenthood knew me well, and they that was the other thing that like I noticed to be a commonality. No matter what state these people were in this online class that I took, the commonality was that everyone got Planned Parenthood information, and pretty much nobody got information about like what to do if you want to have a baby but you can't financially afford it, or you can't fathom financially affording it. And that to me is, I think, like terrible. Like in the Catholic high school, I remember he did mention just like offhand that like, oh, if you go to your local church, oftentimes you can get help with some costs and whatnot, maybe some food, whatever. But it was no like, hey, here's a number to call. Whereas at every single sex ed I ever took, there was a number to call for Planned Parenthood. There was a number to call for if you wanted to get condoms or abortions or whatever. Like that was easily available to us. And I think that's just like very telling. But anyways, so that was the first issue I said I was going to address. And then the second thing I said I was going to do is the New California Project. And I still am going to make a video on that. I'm going to do it though on the same day of the October 24th Habitat Restoration party that I'm going to be throwing. And feel free to go to Soquel Creek Restoration, or facebook.com/Soquel, and that's SOQUEL Creek Restoration, to learn more about that, and RSVP and whatnot. I'm going to be talking a lot more about New California Project. I'm really stoked that Santa Cruz County is part of it. There's just so much to talk about that I'm going to leave that for that day, because I kind of want to hear, comments from other people, not just have a monologue. And so I'm going to save that. But for now, guys, please get involved with the New California Project, like, immediately. If you guys are on Facebook and you're in California, you guys see probably just like I do, like, once a week, somebody's like, I'm moving to Idaho, or I'm moving to Texas, or I'm moving to Florida, or I'm moving, like, everyone's piecing out of the state. And guys, like, just give it a chance for this New California movement. Like, I know there's, like, the state of Jefferson's been trying to do it supposedly for a while, but I follow their Facebook page. They're taking no action steps. They're not really making any sort of legitimate moves towards statehood. Whereas the New California Project, that could not be more different. They are taking all the necessary actions. I just signed up to be a member. It's $10 a month, and they send you, like, a sticker for the back of your car so you can spread the word, and like a certificate showing that you're a member or whatever. And so I encourage anybody who's got $10 to spare per month, like, please join the New California Project. We need to put out this dumpster fire that is California. And it also, like, if you don't have the money, that you can still join for free. And you can also sign up to volunteer for free. I did those things as well. So please do that. Like, if you are going to stay here, or if you're thinking about leaving, or maybe you already left and just, like, have some time on your hands, and you might want to come back one day, or you want to help out your family members and friends that are still here. Like, California is, like, disgusting. Like, just one fact I'll drop on you guys, a little sneak peek. California literally used to be the #1 ranked educational state in the nation. Guess what we are now, guys? 50th. From 1 to 50th, like, the first to the last. And I think that maybe there's 51. I hate geography, but, or maybe I'm just, not the brightest because I grew up in California, and even though I got a 4.3 and I got in any college I wanted, I still am just not that bright compared to maybe kids from, like, Idaho or Texas or anywhere else, literally. But that's just one of, like, the disgusting facts that we need to be focused on. And it's literally, like, beyond time for us to call out any Democratic politician that tries to say that what we're going through has to do with global warming, or what we're going through has to do with climate change, or it's just our problems are too big, we can't afford it. Like, guys, we are literally the ninth most powerful, the ninth most we have more money than 190 something nations. Let me just put it that way. Like, if you look at global economies of, like, the most wealthy nations, suppose California were a nation, right? Scary thought, I know, but suppose California were a nation, we would be the 9th wealthiest nation on earth. And we're sitting here listening to our politicians tell us that they don't have the means to take care of these problems. They don't have the desire to take care of these problems, guys. So next time you're on your Facebook feed and you guys get blasted with, like, all the same stupid message from all these absolute arts of the etards, like Kamala Harris and Gavin Newsom and it used to be Bernie Sanders, at least, we don't get those anymore, but Joe Biden, like, all these people say the same stuff. And next time you see them blaming global warming for the problems that they're not taking care of in their state, like, they're not taking care of the forests, they're not taking care of our water, they're not doing anything right, and so we're having disaster after disaster after disaster. Call them out, and not just call them out. Put www.ncs51, guys, ncs51.com. Put that, like, as many times as you can in that comment feed, because if you look at these comment feeds, most people in those comment feeds are just as sick of this crap as I am, just as sick of this crap as you are, just as sick of this crap as all these people who are leaving the state right now. And so rather than let everyone just continue to get frustrated until they leave to somewhere else, let's take care of where we're at, guys. Let's fix our home state. This state can be gorgeous again. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm going to just continue with the sneak peek just because it's too important to, like, let it wait. And there is stuff going on in September. I've actually reached out to them to see, like, hopefully I didn't miss that. Hopefully it's at the end of September. I would love to, like, go and be there in person for any sort of court proceedings or anything like that. But there's a lot of things that are awesome that are happening with New California movement. And I just can't encourage you enough to get to get involved. And basically what it is this. LA County is going to be Old California. And then Alameda County is going to be Old California. And Sacramento County is going to be Old California. And I think Sacramento County, they're splitting it in half. Only half of it, maybe the same with Alameda County. But LA County, the entirety of it will be Old California. And so yeah, basically with the exception of those 3 chunks, the rest of the state will be New California. And the benefit there is we will have a bunch of people who actually love the countryside, who actually like rural areas, who actually want to make our state better. And we will no longer have to deal with the Gavin Newsoms and the Kamala Harris and all these other idiots that are running our state right now. We will actually have good representation. And if we don't, I'm going to be running, like I encourage anybody else to be running. Like, we need to take over the state and make sure that the land is well taken care of, make sure that the forests are stewarded, make sure that our grasslands are managed properly, make sure that our water rights are kept in the localized economies where they're at, so we're not taking all of NorCal's water, taking all those lakes, draining them down to LA so that we can pretend that it's a beautiful green area, like metropolis area. Like LA, you have money. If you want water, turn the ocean into water. We're done giving you Northern California's water and watching our forests dry out and then get bark beetles and then have all these dead trees so that any absolute idiot arsonist can go up there and just, for whatever political purposes or sadistic purposes or whatever they're doing it, they can just go up and throw a match and everything just lights and burns. Like, we need to take responsibility for our home, guys. And so if you're not with that, then yeah, go wherever else makes you happy. But if you actually care about the state, if you actually care about the country, stay in California and make it right. We are literally the biggest problem in the country. And so let's fix ourselves so that we can help to continue to fix our country. And maybe, who knows, maybe we'll eventually have 50 states that are all contributing to the greater good. Maybe we will be able to take our soldiers home. I dream of that day. I hope you guys all dream of that day too. We don't need to be fighting Israel's wars anymore. Oh, and that's another thing on the Ruth Bader Ginsburg topic. Part of the reason why I had no problem believing that she didn't really do much good with her life and that she was just, female supremacist and just not a very good person is because I've always known, because I'm very tuned into the foreign affairs more so than domestic affairs until recently, she is a lifelong Zionist. She's proud of her Jewish heritage until she died. Like, that is not acceptable, guys. Like, Zionism is the biggest problem foreign affairs wise on earth. Look at every war we've ever fought. Why have we been fighting it? You guys can say it's because of oil. You guys can say it's because of whatever. We are an energy independent nation now, and we could have been whenever we wanted to. We have resources galore. And that's not even talking about moving into the new green economy. I'm talking about old economy, new economy. We have resources. That's not the problem. The problem is that we are constantly fighting wars for Israel. We're constantly fighting wars for Zionism. And yes, there's Christian Zionists too. That's its own problem. Most of our government has a Zionism problem, whether they're Jewish Zionists or Christian Zionists. It needs to be called out though. And so if anyone knows anybody who's a Christian Zionist or a Jewish Zionist, now is the time. 10 years ago was the time, 20 years ago was the time, 30 years ago was the time, but today is definitely the time to start telling them, like, hey, Christian Zionists, you know that Jesus would not approve of that, right? You know what he said about the children of the lie in the Bible, right? You know what he said about the Pharisees. You know who he was referring to, right? Like, these are conversations that might not be fun at first, but you need to have them. And if you're Jewish and you're one of my friends, again, have these conversations. Talk to your friends, talk to your family about what the Star of David really is from. Talk about how it's the Star of Moloch, the Star of Remphan. It has nothing to do with King David. It has nothing to do with anything positive or uplifting in the Bible. These are conversations that need to be had. And so I have a hard time respecting Ruth Bader Ginsburg's legacy because she supposedly cares about women's rights and, kids' rights and everyone's equality. Meanwhile, her entire life, she didn't mention one peep about the Palestinian genocide, didn't mention one peep in defense of the Palestinian people. And that's not acceptable from her or any of our elected officials. So end rant. I need to eat. I need to eat some dinner. I ate like a really small lunch. I was gonna play soccer, and then I ended up deciding against it because I just have too much to do around the house. But I hope you guys are all being productive. I hope you guys are working towards whatever makes you happy, and also, you know, trying to make the greater good better with whatever excess energy you do have. Because like I said, in the other video, I meet people all the time who are drinking way more than they ever have, who are smoking way more than they ever have, who are just really eating way more than they ever have, and none of these things are going to serve you. All these things are going to bring you down and lower your energy and make you less capable of actually creating positive change. So please, 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 guys, just try to take small but steady steps in the right direction, and you'll get to a place where the positivity that you're contributing to is going to give you way better vibes, way better feeling than any of the, you know, numbing your emotions will ever give you, whatever your vice is. And so I encourage you guys, Saturday we're doing a bonfire per usual at Twin Lakes Beach, and this Sunday we're actually also going to do it as well, because there's a big beach gathering already scheduled from 5 to 7 p.m. to thank the firefighters. And we're just going to kind of piggyback on that and try to spread some freedom, spread the word about our bonfires that we do on Saturdays per usual. And yeah, so it'll be good times. And, you know, Sheriff Jim Hart, also just an update, all day, no call. His secretary told me that he would call me today. So guys, please message me if you want the number to his office so that you can call, what is her name? It was borderline hilarious. Delissa, I think, like Melissa with a D. Please blow Delissa's line up, guys. Just message me and I'll shoot you the number. It took a little while to find, so just please message me, shoot me the number. We need to annoy them and pester them until they come out of the shadows and admit to us what they're doing other than counting their excess paychecks, guys. And yes, if you didn't know, county health officer, sheriff, every person in the higher ups in law enforcement are making excess money right now because it is a state of emergency. And I cannot put enough of these on that, guys, because state of emergency has a very specific legal definition, which has not been met, has not even been close to being met, guys, because the state of emergency was created for hurricanes, tsunamis, massive earthquakes, where literally every hospital bed was full and we had a literal emergency. Last I checked, we've had 7 deaths this entire time in our county. We've had, last I checked, last week, we had 26 quote-unquote COVID beds. And guys, like, the science matters, people matter, jobs matter. It's not about choosing money over life. It's about realizing that money and life are interlinked. Having a job, having a livelihood, and having a life are interlinked. And last but not least, something that I meant to mention on that point, it reminds me, just as far as the abortion topic is concerned, far too many people are thinking independently when they think about the abortion topic. They're thinking about, like, oh my God, like, what would I do if I had a baby right now? I only have, you know, this much income. He only has this much income. But guys, have you reached out to your aunts and uncles? Have you reached out to your parents? They might already be stoked on being grandparents. They might love your significant other. And even if they don't, it cannot hurt to ask. And like I said, reach out to your local churches, do your own research, try to make sure that you're taking in the big picture before you make an argument like only independently minded. Because guys, if you study any sort of, book about a proper upbringing, adolescence is the time for independence. That's the time where you kind of go out, make your own way. You start to realize how hard it is to be on your own, and you start to be grateful for all the things that have been given to you in your life, like all the meals that were cooked by your mother or father, or the roof that's been placed over your head. That's when you start to realize, like, oh man, like, it's really hard to be alone. And it's not about just trudging forward and staying in that hard life your entire for the rest of your life. It's about realizing that we were supposed to be interdependent. We are the most social beings on the face of the planet Earth. And so if you aren't at least doing your due diligence to reach out to people that you know and love and say like, hey, I have this little thing called a baby growing inside me and I really want to keep it, but I don't know that it's financially feasible, people will help you guys. And if you are in that place and you're like, hey, I reached out to everyone I know, I've reached out to some churches, and you're at a roadblock, hit me up. I have some time on my hands every once in a while. I would happily call around to some churches and see if we can't find something that can make that happen for you. And yes, if and when I do find a church that is, willing and open for that sort of thing, I'll ask the pastor next time I remember when I go to church. I've been trying to go like twice a month now to this new church in Scotts Valley called Regeneration Church. I'll ask them, like, they seem like they would at least be able to point me in the right direction, if anything. But guys, the onus is on you to at least do your research and not just have a cop out and say that, oh, it's not financially feasible, it doesn't make sense, it's not practical. Just do your fucking research, guys. And I probably shouldn't have said that. I really hope this video doesn't get censored like the other one did because I used my F-bomb, but it's really frustrating to censor yourself like that. Like, anyways, I'm not going to complain, but y'all are amazing, and I just hope that you enjoyed this video. And I'll like I said, October 24th, if you guys want the whole scoop on the New California Project, I would love to give you guys the whole scoop on the New California Project. And I would love for if you guys could show up at that day already having your bumper stickers on your car, already in the mindset of like, let's make this state great. And, stop being defeatist and just let's start trying to work towards positivity. Oh, and also, if anyone out there, I'm not going to name any names, I definitely have some friends that are balling. Guys, become a founding member of New California Project. Even if you don't live in California, or even if you live in old California or Texas or wherever, if you have money, please help out the state to help out the country. It costs $1,000 to become a founding member. You get your own New California state flag. I'm like tempted to do it. It's not practical for me right now, but I'm still tempted. And who knows? I might be driving around with the New California state flag on the back of my Sprinter. Just because people need to know, guys. And if anyone out there is like, hey, I don't really want a flag, but I got $1,000 for you to have a flag, that would be like, oh, so excellent. But anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Y'all have a great dinner, have a great night, and I love y'all.